Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. If you follow the channel, you've probably seen this knife already. This is my Parker Little PillBuster. It's a physician knife that was made back in the 1980s. And this is my favorite physician's knife, what is commonly referred to as a doctor's knife these days. And like I said, this is by Parker. And you see right there, Parker Cutlery Company, the Little PillBuster. And this one is featuring surgical steel, and it is made in Japan. It's actually 440A stainless, I believe. And this is the closest thing I have to a historically accurate physician's knife. You've got a bolster up on top. It's got a relatively long bolster compared to what most physician's knives would have had. It would have been a little bit of a shorter bolster, but it is using genuine mother of pearl for the handles. And then the really cool thing about it is it has a proper PillBuster bottom. Now, what the PillBuster bottom is for, and I've mentioned this in another video, is it is used as part of the mortar and pestle. This is the pestle. The mortar would be a bowl, usually a metal or a stone bowl, and this is used to bust up pills and other things. So you're basically crushing stuff in a metal bowl or a stone bowl. In the case of this, it would probably have been a brass bowl that you would be using, and you'd be smashing stuff in it using the bottom of the knife. And if you notice, the PillBuster is relatively thin. And what you have is it is kind of inserted inside the handle there, and then it is pinned. In this case, it's pinned underneath the pearl, which would be a common way of doing it. So this PillBuster bottom could be easily removed and repaired, and that was the purpose of the bottom being made the way it is. It is actually for smashing into stuff and then easily replacing or repairing this. And you can do that simply because it was a second piece that was pinned to the bottom of the knife. And that's what makes this my favorite physician's knife. Now, most of the physician's knives that are being made today, or doctor's knives as they like to call them now, have a bottom that looks like so. And what you have is the nickel silver bolster, then you have the brass liners, and then the steel portions of the spring coming up all the way onto the back, which is good. I mean, you do have a solid bottom, but the problem with this is if you're smashing stuff in a bowl, you're going to get this all scratched up and dented and everything else, and you're also putting a lot of pressure on the bottom of the knife, and it can actually cause damage to the springs and everything. And there's really no good way to repair it other than filing it down and making it smooth again. Otherwise, you have all sorts of cuts and everything in there. So while it looks like a PillBuster bottom, it's not an ideal PillBuster bottom because there's no way to easily repair or replace the bottom as opposed to what you have on this knife. The bottom can easily be either replaced or repaired. Well, replacing it would require actually removing the covers, popping out the pin, and then making a new part. But on original PillBuster knives, what they could have easily done is a jeweler could have actually filled in the metal. Typically, it was a coin silver is what they would refer to it as. So it'd be a silver bottom, and not the hardest material in the world, but about the same as what you're going to get in brass and such. But in any case, you could sand it down, but you could also have a jeweler fill in the gaps and rebuild the bottom more easily than you can with something like this. And that's why the PillBuster was made the way it was. So these knives, while they look like a PillBuster, aren't truly a pill buster. They just kind of look like a physician's knife. And that's why I have more of an issue with the bare head versions of doctor's knives, because now you have, in this case, a bone handle or bone cover going all the way to the end. You see how it is pinned there at the end. If you were to actually start smashing this into stuff, chipping the bone and stuff would probably be fairly easy. And that would be problematic, because then how are you going to repair it? You could also end up chipping the bone or cracking the bone with the pin and everything else and really screw up the bottom of the knife. So while it looks like a physician's knife, it's not a pill buster. You can't actually, or you shouldn't use it for busting pills. Whereas this knife, it actually has a functioning pill buster bottom. And that's why this is my favorite physician's knife to date. I would love it if more knife companies would incorporate a proper pill buster bottom on their physician knives. You know what? I forgot to talk about the fit and finish of the knife overall. And this is a knife that is going on 30, 40 years old, and it's held up really quite well. This is, like I said, a Parker knife made in Japan out of Seki, Japan. You've got the brass liners going on there. You can see it's got a little dent and dings on there. The bolster is about 1/3 of the knife, so it's like a Barlow style bolster on this doctor's knife. And I think that's because of all the genuine pearl you have on the knife. Got some really good slabs of pearl in there. Those are natural faults in the pearl. That isn't like it's cracked or anything like that. Got some really pretty color in there, some really good fire. Obviously the brass bottom, I talked enough about that. And then the surgical steel blade, which is probably an AUS 6 or an AUS 8 or a 440A or something like that. Really nice straight pin blade. Overall length of the knife, comes in right at about 6.5 inches or so. The blade length is just under 3 inches, with the cutting edge just over 2.5 inches, and the handle comes in right at about 3 5/8 inches long, which scales well for the original doctor's knives or physician knives from the turn of the 19th century, so back in the 1800s, early 1900s, which is what this knife is patterned off of. It's just a really beautiful knife with good fit and finish. There's no blade wobble in there or anything like that. You can see the reflection on the blade. There is definitely a mirror finish going on. The blade edge is held up quite well too. I don't know if this knife was ever used or not, but it's in really immaculate shape. I'm very happy with it, and the quality overall is just fantastic. Parker did a great job with this knife when they got it made in Seki, Japan. In any case, stick around for some slides. let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.